He didn't lose.
Says who?
He just didn't lose.
Do you believe the election was stolen?
Yes.
Do you have faith in elections now?
No.
Do you believe the 2020 election was stolen?
No, I don't believe the 2020 election was stolen. I believe that there are aspects of the 2020 election that were unfair.
Well, and as we all know, life is supposed to be fair. Yeah, it's unfair to have to run for re-election after doing such an awful job and presiding over just absolute devastation in terms of the pandemic. That is unfair. I agree with them. But that is Donnie O'Sullivan of CNN doing his best to talk to as many Trump supporters as he can. To his credit, he tried to talk to Proud Boys, but they were not having it. They're ready for any fight, but not a CNN reporter. Suddenly they're real quiet. They don't want to say anything. They'll shout at like a drag queen story hour, but a reporter with a camera on them, suddenly they don't have anything to say. But anyway, that is what they believe. They all believe, or at least say that they believe, that Trump won the election. Donnie O'Sullivan reminded people that according to recent polling, 70% do say that. 70% believe that Biden didn't legitimately win the election. It's a year and a half out. And admittedly, you expect that in the immediate aftermath of an election, where the candidate that you don't like didn't win, there can be some bad blood. Some people don't want to accept it. I have seen this from some Democrats, in the wake of George W. Bush winning, the second time around or that sort of thing. It does happen. But a year and a half out was for 70% to believe it, to hold it up as like a badge of purity, that you cannot accept all of the evidence. You can't accept the dozens of court cases. We are now a couple of months in the January 6 hearings, and they all agree on this one thing. And I guess it's never going to change. There is no new fact that's going to be presented that's going to get them to finally accept that the election was held fairly and that Trump didn't just lose, but lost by a lot in the popular vote.
Yeah, and what I don't understand is how they can't reconcile that the GOP and the Republicans sort of kicked butt up and down those exact same ballots all over the place, right? So we're supposed to believe that the Dems or whoever, I don't know, George Soros, I don't know who the wizard was supposed to steal it from Trump while allowing all kinds of Republicans to win down ballot during that same election. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And you'll hear the chats about, well, what about Hillary and Russiagate and blah, blah, blah. They try to delegitimize Trump's election back in 2016. But again, like Democrats didn't kick butt up and down the ballot in 2016. The Republicans gained seats, they gained ground, they showed strength, but somehow Donald Trump was weaseled out of his seat. It doesn't make any sense. It's a level of delusion that that makes you feel like, look, all of these claims when people want to be snarky about Trump supporters, it is a cult. Like when people are in cults, they believe these fantastical things, like some guy's sperm has like the antidote in it. I think this is the Trumpy version of that, John.
Yeah, I've met that guy. I don't believe him. I think he's at least exaggerating. Anyway, yeah, no, you're right. And look, I think you're doing what we feel like we have to do, which is to be fair, which is, okay, we're gonna try to come up with examples from our side. So you identified, there were people who were after 2016, all stuff about Russia. But again, Hillary Clinton, she acknowledged that he won the day after the election. And as far as I know, other than some of literally the craziest people on Twitter, nobody thought that the Mueller investigation or anything was gonna result in Hillary Clinton becoming president. And it was pretty specific. It was, here are some really highly suspicious things that we think should be looked into. Not inventing schemes involving Hugo Chavez and ballot drop mules and all this stuff. I know someone, so I referenced George W. Bush winning re-election. I know some people didn't like that. And people were like, well, we feel like Al Gore was really robbed. Again, I wasn't talking about the 2000 election, but even there, that was a specific, not like in the shadows thing. The Supreme Court deciding, no, we're just not going to allow a recount. So
also,
we can debate
one
that specific
state.
thing.
It was Florida.
Exactly. It wasn't, and then Al Gore was calling, like, he was calling Tallahassee, and he was like, if you could flip 10,000 votes, and there's over there, we found this thing, we got a documentary. Like, it's a specific thing that you have an issue with. Whereas on the other side, they have no idea why they believe it. You saw the interview with that woman. She has no clue why she believes that Trump won. She just knows that she needs to believe that it's true.
Well, she listens to probably, I would guess, listens to a lot of right-wing radio, which to the viewers out there, like, you think Fox News is bad? They really let that freak flag fly on right-wing talk radio. So I would assume that she's being diluted by right-wing radio. I mean, I know we're on YouTube right now, so we don't want to denigrate the platform, but there's a lot of crazy stuff on YouTube out there, That's John. So she might be on YouTube as well. Like, they're being constantly fed this stuff, right? Like, you think about like Russiagate. Those Rachel Maddow soccer moms who were like really plugged into Russiagate with Rachel Maddow, they would probably tune into Rachel Maddow an hour a day, and then they would keep it pushing with PTA meetings and all that other stuff. On the right wing, like, it's been documented that they run the gamut. They do Fox News, they do hate radio in the car, they're doing the YouTube. They don't stop. They're on the freaking websites and email threads and all of that, message boards, like, they're doing it nonstop. And so when you become that deep into the weeds, John, you can believe anything.
Exactly, yeah, and if you want to believe some crazy stuff, there are paths to radicalization open to you. Feel free. But anyway, the stuff that we were shown before, I mean, that's certainly crazy. Like, it's not the worst stuff that Donnie O'Sullivan got, though. Let's jump into this second video.
You watched the January 6th hearings?
I have.
What you think?
I think they're a bunch of bull.
Boy.
Well, because do you have both sides, or are you getting one side of the story?
You mean like the side that attacked the Capitol?
You really believe that happened?
I was there.
Okay, I have a lot of people that were there too.
And
saw things that it wasn't what they say it was.
But there's been hundreds of Trump supporters now charged. A lot of them have pled guilty.
And do you think it's right for those people to have those people in jail and not get any justice in our American system? Are you kidding me?
Do you think it was right that they attacked the Capitol?
They didn't. That was an inside job, buddy.
Again, it's like, it's an inside job of hundreds and hundreds of actors who are so committed to their role that some of them are spending time in prison now. And all of it was invented and all of it was fake. And they did a great job, because for many of these people, they really don't want to be in prison. They have a history of posting about Trump and everything. There were right-wing influencers in the crowd live streaming it as it happened. I mean, it was a really effective inside job at that point. But no, there's no evidence they'll get through. She said, "Do you believe that happened?" And he fairly indisputably said, "I was there. I saw it with my own eyes." And she's like, "Oh, you think that's evidence? I have people on the inside too." You listen to a YouTuber or you listen to a crazy AM radio guy or something. You have no idea what you're talking about. She just won't accept it. Why? Because it looks bad. If it had worked, by the way, if they had successfully, I don't know, like ripped Mike Pence into 7 different parts and Trump was now like ruling on high on a throne made of Pence bones, then she would be like, January 6th is the best thing ever. It was only that it failed that resulted in some of them being unwilling to accept it. And the fact that Trump was saying that he loved them and all that, the fact that they listened to Trump, which is a weird thing for Antifa super soldiers to do. Why did they leave when Trump told them to leave if it was an inside job? Why? Doesn't that make him look at least a little bit better compared to the alternative? But again, we're trying to reason with people that have no interest fundamentally in reason. They're not here for reason, they're not here for logic. They're not here to understand things. They're here to feel good. And saying this stuff feels good. And admittedly, Donnie O'Sullivan is talking to people at a Trump rally. So let's bear in mind, this is not a random sampling.
Yeah,
exactly, Waz. These are people who they're the extreme of the extreme.
and I hesitate to do this, John, but I can't help myself but make the comparison to Barack Obama, who many people accused of having this cult of personality. You would hear them call people on the internet who constantly defended him a bunch of Obots. I myself was a mindless lib who obsessed over Obama in 2008 and 2010. I was still on the boat. But I think even Barack Obama's most fervent and ardent supporters have to admit the drone war stunk. The amount of giveaways to Wall Street and the Geithners and the Larry Summers and those people being the only people that got anything tangible out of that damn administration. Tens of millions of Americans losing their wealth in the housing crisis with no freaking, never being made whole. All of those Main Street people that got screwed. Even the biggest Obots can get off of that ship and say, you know what, man? That whole thing was kind of a waste of time. This whole hope and change and this, he kind of screwed the pooch with that one. It was a missed opportunity. Even those people can admit, right? Like the Obama, the drone war, like all of this stuff was kind of like whack. Yeah. These Trump people they just refuse to get off the boat. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I have no interest in sort of trying to create like a revised history where I have like some sort of purity. If that was the thing, my brand that I was trying to present, I would have done a lot of stuff differently over the years. No, I was super excited by Obama in 2008. Before 2000, in 2004, when he gave that speech at the DNC, I was like, oh damn, a politician who's not terrible. And honestly, I still like him better than people like Hillary and Biden. I still, he largely accomplished as little as they did, but I like him better than Buttigieg and stuff. In terms of his persona and all that. So I don't begrudge you on that. But yeah, this is a durable thing. Like this is the rest of our lives.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.